Hello everybody and welcome to Group B in Enter the Storm, our last match, the Consolation match between Roccat and Kinguin. Kinguin was able to win the losers match, and Roccat, of course, they played that game against Navi where they got annihilated by them. Well, maybe not quite that harsh, but yeah, they lost the series. Navi was able to win the entire group with a 4-0, and now we have the last best of 3 series between Roccat and Navi to find out, between Roccat and Kinguin, to find out which one of the two teams is able to make it into the round of 8 together with Navi. Already qualified for the round of 8 are, of course, Team Liquid and Alternate Fancy. And our first game here today between Kinguin and Roccat is played on Shire. We have in this case also a very cool setup, very aggressive setup actually on the side of Roccat. Roccat already very early in the patch committing to a Kerrigan, and I've talked about it a bit on Twitter. When the patch came out, I said that Kerrigan feels really nice, feels much better than the last patch. She has a lot of sustainability if you want it, but has a couple of other builds as well. And Roccat committed to her a lot and early on as well. So in this case right now, we have them with a Kerrigan. They also run for extra damage and Jaina, which is of course always amazing. If you get that stun lock in with a Kerrigan, they have an Uther and also a Johanna in there. You can use Condemn, you can use the stun on Uther to really lock somebody down and then get that damage in with Jaina. So a pretty solid lineup and a very aggressive one at that on the side of Roccat. We're looking at the side of Kinguin on the other hand. The first thing that we have to mention, of course, again, is that they had a lineup change just recently. Things didn't really work out for them with their old lineup. Nepse and Norok were let go, and therefore they are playing with 2 new players. They've been practicing for quite some time already with them, but it is still a newer, some new addition to the team. But in this case, they are playing also very solid setup. They're going for the double specialist combo again with the Zagara and also the Zebo, so a lot of poke that they have here and disengage during a battle thanks to the Maw. Also a good setup, of course, for heroes. The double tank line with Arthas and also Muradin is very, very hard to break through. And it's going to be a fun game. We have the match on Shire. Aggressive style for Roccat, and Kinguin a little bit more careful here in the first game, I want to say. So let's find out together which team is going to take it. The last best of 3 series of the day, and as you can see here, we're currently having a match between Kinguin and Roccat, and to the left side, the German team. Actually, both of these teams are German. It's the battle of the Germans. To the left side, we have Gerd am Herd for Kinguin on Zagara, Snow on Muradin, Ui on Malfurion, Laurent on Arthas, Invidum on Nezebo. And to the right side of the map, after losing to Navi in the winners match, we have Roccat with Shadowmar on Uther, Spot Billy on Leoric, Chris on Kerrigan, Zocca on Johanna, and Hazops playing Jaina. I'm very, very curious to see which build Kerrigan is going to use here. We already saw a couple of Kerrigan builds. It was mostly Navi so far that actually played her. But I've been talking to Chris a lot about the hero, and he might be the first Kerrigan that we're going to see with some shield talents. Most of the Kerrigan players so far in 16 still went in Blood for Blood. It's of course pretty cool to have that extra hit point pool, but I feel like if there is a Kerrigan player that is going to show you some of the new talents on the hero, it is very likely that it's going to be Chris. I'm super in love with like any kind of Kerrigan composition because it's just so aggressive, and I love aggressive play, so that's one of the reasons why I'm always happy when I see a Kerrigan or like some Zeratul action, even a Lita in the game. We're having now also at the bot lane here that 4-man rotation. Every 8 seconds you basically shift between the mid lane and the bot lane, and you're trying to just take down a hero if you can get a chance. No lockdown by Chris this time, and that Blizzard did a lot of damage considering that we're talking 2 tanks here. This is pretty nasty at this point, so yeah. We have already with the talents an interesting choice with the scouting drone here on level 1 for Malfurion over the potential extra damage against minions and mercenaries. Down here Nezebo also currently in action, and there is a bit of a trap already. They're trying to bait somebody in. Muradin, by the way, is going straight for that pedo Muradin skin. Wanna have some candy? It gets extremely creepy when he's playing against the Lily, because that always feels wrong on so many levels. So Candy Muradin is being used here, there's no jumping away. Chris has said that he still needs to practice Kerrigan a bit. He feels that his Kerrigan is a bit lackluster, and he's been training her quite a lot. So we're gonna find out if all that practice really works out for him. Leoric at the top lane, duh, where else? If you're going for a Leoric play on Shire, then you will see him at the top lane in like 9 out of 10 matches. So he's just trying to push this in as much as he can. And down here, it's so much aggression. The important part for Kinguin, Leoric actually dying. Alright, not expecting Snow to rotate, I suppose, but Sport Billy is going to be back in a second. The important part, on the other hand, as I just mentioned for Kinguin, is that in the early game in particular, they are making sure that they are not going to be taken out by the Kerrigan rotation. Kerrigan is going to roam between these two lanes, and there's also an Uther with an extra stun and a lot of burst damage thanks to Jaina. So it's a very aggressive setup that they are set up against here. So Kinguin has to make sure that they are playing a very cautious game at the start. They don't have to like shy away from any kind of confrontation, but in this case you have to make sure that if you are solo on a lane that you are very well aware of where exactly your opponent is currently positioned, so that you don't just run into a gank squad and get taken out early. And that's exactly what they're doing here. But we already see the pressure from Roccat bearing fruit. They move in and take down one of the towers. They lock down or try to lock down Arthur's. They don't get that done yet. But still, very well done by them, getting a bit of experience thanks to the structures that they take down. The issue is that Gadamhead up to the top lane is getting some nice support from Ui on his Malfurion. Arthur's, on the other hand, gets locked down in the mid lane and dropped. Second tower is down too. Muradin just barely jumps away. Bot lane, where we're having Uther against Vidium, is probably the lane where the least is happening right now. Psionic Pulse is currently being used. Up at the top lane, Gat is getting Skeleton swung to death. And Chris was trying to go for the creep tomb and gets it after all. But yeah, interesting talents here already. Let's talk a little bit about the rotations. Let's talk a bit about the talents. And first of all, let's talk, of course, about the lanes. We have to the top lane with Malfurion and Zagara, a very strong push setup against Sport Billy. Sport Billy versus Zagara, Leoric Zagara in general, is one of these setups where you usually end up with both of them roughly tied. If you have a Malfurion, on the other hand, Zagara can spam out all of her spells like 6 days to Sunday, and that's exactly where this lane is going to get a lot of his pushing power from. If you then also have not only Zagara in there, but also with Malfurion, the scouting drone, you can get all the vision that you need. Zocca already with the first Dragonite, punting Arthur's away. Now they can move straight into the mid lane here. We have the shield talents now taken for Kerrigan, exactly the build that we've been talking about already during those games when Na'Vi still played her a bit old school. Psionic Pulse, first of all, has a bit of AoE damage that you get out. That also, Nazeebo kill, by the way, at the bot lane. We have now the Assimilation Mastery, where you have the additional health and mana regeneration. Basically, as long as you have a shield, you get increased health and mana regeneration, which helps Kerrigan to stay on lane. And every single time you attack something just with an auto attack, you gain a small shield that you keep for a few seconds. So as long as you keep attacking stuff, you will have that shield and you will have the additional regeneration, which is super important so that you don't have to go back too well, you don't have to go back to base, you can stay on lane, and that can be quite strong. This is also why it's very likely that Chris is going to use at least one of the talents on 13 or 16 to make sure that he gets that shield in even further. Snow with a potential stun against Zocca, but good use of Iron Skin to prevent that. We have Enduring Growth for Malfurion, who by the way also went into Rampant Growth on level 4. That allows him to get that additional burst heal. By now it's 50%. It was 30% before the last patch, but people have been talking and also like showing that it didn't really do anything. There were like a lot of calculations, especially on Reddit, showcasing that, and Blizzard reacted and said like, yep, you guys are right, we need to improve on that talent, and they did with this patch now. So we have at this point level 7 for both of the teams. We're seeing Austin's renewal there. We're having, of course, also the additional creep spread for Zagara, and the top lane is where Gadamhead is going to try and make sure that they have the perfect vision on everything that's going on. There's now 2 Siege Giant camps starting to push in against the bot lane, and that is a lot of pressure that they're trying to execute here. Level 10s are faster for them. We're having Maelstrom taken. We see Divine Shield, March of the Black King, Blessed Shield, and the Water Elemental. So all these talents that we have here to the side, super important right now because they have a huge lead in experience. They have level 10 while they're still level 9 on the board for Kinguin. So Roccat finds themselves in a lead that they can now use to drop that bottom structure and therefore capitalize on that advantage that they already have and even further improve on it, and that is going to be just super important for them to especially dominate the next phase of the game when we're going to see those dragon statues coming up again. Now we have the heroics also up for their opponent with a Maw. We are seeing the Muradin with Avatar, Tranquility, Army of the Dead, and I guess last but not least we're going to find out what Nazeebo is going to take, and he in this case moves into the Gargantuan. We've seen already some Ravenous Spirit play. We could have seen this too. Gadamhead with a Maw can set that up for Nazeebo so that he gets the Ravenous Spirit right in where those heroes are going to appear again. Already Sport Billy moving away, and he did not go for Lingering Apparition, but he can move away in this case right now, and suddenly he's trying to force them to stay here because the bot lane, we're seeing a massive push coming in right now by Team Roccat doing extremely well, dropping another tower set there. They already took those additional bruisers earlier, and they are using them now to drop one tower, maybe even the second one, and they can move straight to the shrines at this point, since the dragon statue is going to come up on the map again. Invidium versus Sport Billy. This could be Dragonite. This should be Dragonite. This will be Dragonite. It's there fast enough. They can claim it. Nobody to interrupt it. Very, very nice move on the side of Roccat. They get another Dragonite. This is actually Dragonite number 2 for them. They still have at the top lane Leoric. He's going to push this wall in while the rest of the team is busy in the middle. Kerrigan is getting attacked here, but they're already jumping straight in with another potential lockdown, and they get it against Arthas. The stun from Uther follows up right away, but it's still a 4 versus 5, and Sport Billy moves over to help out here. But already Zoc in a bit of trouble, uses another Condemn. The Divine Shield keeps him alive, and he is going to be able to escape this one. But the more use for the potential setup to take down Chris. Chris is low, uses Maelstrom, gets the shield up again and gets healed by Shadowbar, and they go straight for the kill. Arthas and Malfurion are both dead. Hazorbs rushes in to potentially take down Invidium, but Nazeebo gets away. This fort, on the other hand, cannot run, and over here Snow, of course, on Muradin cannot escape against 3 heroes, especially with the lockdown on the side of Kerrigan. Yeah, Ice Block had to be used, and oops, does he get healed? Well, yeah, he gets healed, but also the fort is eliminated before he is in trouble. So now with the level 13 talents, we're seeing again that assimilation talent taken on level 13. So Lingering Essence, that increases the assimilation shield to 20 seconds. And I have to talk about this real quick. The way this works is that the shield that you build up, the timer on the shield is going to be reset every time you attack something. So every time you build up a bit or more of a shield by just auto-attacking something on the map, you have another 20 seconds for the entire shield that you already built up. So extremely important to know that. It's not that when you, for example, get some damage in and let's say you get a 100 hit point shield, that doesn't last for 20 seconds. If at any point during those 20 seconds you attack something and you gain even more shield points, you keep the entire shield, including those 100 hit point shield from before, for another 20 seconds. So just keep attacking stuff over and over again every like 15 to 20 seconds, and you're going to be fine. You can go into these fights with a massive shield there, and on level 16 you can even increase the amount of shield that you get from each attack. And of course, when you take the Omega Storm on level 20 over a Blink, if you can, and with an Uther you definitely can, then you can jump into a team fight and you are going to be a massive tank that just stuns everything around you. It is insane. Kerrigan is so strong right now, and Chris is going to try and showcase that. Head down here is already being slowed, and he is in a lot of trouble right now. Zagara was trying to help out with the push at the bot lane, but now everybody is rotating over there, and it looks like we're going to see a fight with level 13 versus level 10 talents, because, well, right now they are about to move in. Snow is starting to move down here though, and all of a sudden it's a 5 versus 4, and that's the moment where Roccat has to move away, and they're using straight the Divine Shield here to get away for now. They escape. We have a double Burning Rage, by the way. We have a Shrink Ray and also an Ice Block. Over here you can see now the 13 talents coming into play for Kinguin, and that's the chance that they have a double Ice Block being used already, a double Spell Shield. They really respect Jaina. Zagara could go for another Spell Shield if they're really afraid of her, or she could just simply say, well, it's going to be Mutalisk for me, and that's exactly what she does. But the level 16 talents are now ready, and here comes the aggressive defense with a shield increase from assimilation by 100%, and this is going to be super strong if you use that Maelstrom or later the Omega Storm. Chris is about to jump in, he gets the shield already, he's starting to attack, he's getting healed by Shadowmar as well, and they're going straight for the fight. Already Tranquility being used down here, they go straight in, there's the Ice Blocks, 1, 2, Nazeebo already dead on the other hand. Ui is in trouble up here, Shadowmar is trying to escape too at the bot lane on the other hand as Uther dies. We're having the potential kill against Malfurion, and yes, they get it. It's a 3-for-1 at this point, and Uther Ghost is still healing everybody up as the attack is now focusing on Arthas, and Levor is taken apart as well. It's 4 versus 1. Great kills here on the side of Roccat. They have now nearly level 17 and 11 kills against 2 overall. Another Dragonite is being captured, this time by Chris. Kerrigan is going to move into the mid lane with it, and it looks very much like this might be the first keep of the game that falls. 14 versus 17, and the Dragon Eye 12 minutes in. Of course not that monster that he's going to be later on when he drops more than 1,000 hit points with a single hit against structures, but he's still strong enough to really burst down that keep there, especially with Soccer, Sport, Bile and Hazorps assisting him. But it's a 5-man situation again, and Nasibo! Wow! Gets completely blown to pieces here. He didn't expect that. Too much burst. Hazorps, Soccer, everybody jumping in and taking him down. Now we're seeing the Dragon Eye coming into play again. And condemn, the ice blocks are through. Snow is low. And Ui is dead as well. Snow taking out Ui too. And all of a sudden it looks like this might even be game. They're going straight in against Arthurs again. And now it's a 5 versus 1 situation actually. They're going for the core. And they can take down Gat as well. Zagara dead. And this is going to be the end of game number 1. A 1-0 lead for Roccat against Kinguin. Very well played here, and Kerrigan really coming through for the team. A great pick for Roccat, and they successfully take the first map, Shire, and give themselves the lead in the best of 3 series here at the end of the Storm Group B. Roccat with a dominant performance on Shire. They take the first game and therefore the lead in the best of 3 series. Kinguin couldn't really hold a candle to them in this case at least, and well, they have to win 2 in a row now if they want to still go to the quarterfinals, to the next stage of the end of the Storm tournament. Guys, of course, if you are not really familiar with the format and how it works, you can just always check the description on YouTube, because well, in the video I actually implemented a link so that you can see how exactly this is being played. You can check the dates as well and the results. You can see who's in Group C and Group D, which we are going to play this week, and a few other things as well. But yeah, for Kinguin, of course, things right now, they look a little bit grim. They have to win 2 in a row now, and they are trying to start this off with a match on Tomb of the Spider Queen, which was for the longest time Kinguin's best map. Zagara, on the other hand, got denied to them here, but they are still running this with a Nazeebo, and instead of Zagara, they are now playing a Kel'Thas, so a lot more direct damage, I want to say. They can really do a whole lot with that. The new Chain Bomb build that we have on Kel'Thas is quite strong. Blizzard made a few changes. They took Ignite away, but they buffed the Fission Bomb, and therefore suddenly Chain Bombs are extremely powerful. We have them with another double tank frontline, and in this case it's a Nubarok and Muradin that they're relying upon. But on the side of Roccat we see again this Jaina, and this time she gets a bit of assistance. There's no Kerrigan in the mix. Kerrigan banned out. Kinguin definitely learned their lesson in the last game, but this time it is a Vala, and they're still relying on Leoric, and they, sorry, not a Leoric, a Tyrael, and they have the Shahana. So the double tank line for them as well, and it's a pretty sick setup for both teams here actually. Can work like either way. In this case it all depends on the early game. If you're able to get ahead here in Tomb of the Spider Queen, you will of course be able to turn in over and over again. Roccat has already shown a great game in game number 1, and Kinguin has to really step it up if they want to make sure that they at least tie the series and force them into a 3rd map. If they can do that, we'll find out. Tomb of the Spider Queen coming up next. Welcome everybody to the potential last map of the day. We have a 1-0 lead in the series for Roccat going up against Kinguin here. And to the left side of the map it is Roccat with Shadowmar on Uther, Chris on Vala, Sport Bile on Johanna, Hazorps on Jaina, and Zocker playing Tyrael. Kinguin, on the other hand, starting to the right, is playing with Gat Amhead on Kel'Thas. We have Invidum on Nazeebo, Ui on Rhaegar, Lemon on Anubarak, and Snow on Muradin. And well, for Kinguin, there's a lot on the line right now, because if they lose this map, then it's all over for them. This is the last best of 3 of the day, and they are down 1 map in the series. So we are at the end of the Storm tournament. It's the playoffs. We are in the group stage, Group B, and this is the Consolation match, the last map. Whoever wins here advances to the round of 8, and the loser will drop out of the tournament. Already a bit of a trap set up, everybody just hiding. Both of the teams are actually looking for an opportunity to get an early kill in the game, and we're seeing all of them moving straight into it. Oh, Snow is jumping away, and after all this burst damage, there's still everybody alive. Nazeebo is down to the bot lane, and Roccat is just trying to move over from the top to the bottom. They're actually just moving into positions right now, taking the heartbeats on the lane so that they get the experience. But that was scary for a second, since, yeah, nobody really ran into these 2 traps that teams were setting up. When it comes to talents, we're having kind of what you would expect here. Tyrael could have gone for the extra damage on his smite against heroes, decided to just run this with a regeneration master, and considering that we are currently onto the Spider Queen where a lot of these globes are dropping, it makes a whole lot of sense to try and go for Conjurer's Pursuit, Regeneration Master, or in the case of Kel'Thas, of course, the Mana Addict, which perfectly synergizes with the level 16 talent that you will see him take later for the extra shield. It's a pretty cool talent to take. It gives you a massive, massive shield, and as Kel'Thas you oftentimes jump pretty hard. And, of course, since now with the new build that we're having on him that focuses on living bombs, you usually need to get a little bit closer to your opponent. You are also way more out there to, like, you're way more exposed. Like, it's way easier for your opponent to actually, like, put some damage onto you, so that shield helps him to stay alive. Right now, we're having Sport Billy and the boys just like healing up. Both of the teams are looking for an opportunity to drop a target. Shadowman and Zok up at the top lane are fighting against Ui. It's all about like getting the gems right now. Getting maybe a kill here. This is why we're having the rotation. It's very common for the European server in particular to rotate between the mid and the top lane. And that's currently what Roccat is doing. And if you currently look at Kinguin, they basically gave up the rotation. They don't really rotate against it because they realize that with all that lockdown and all that burst damage, it's going to be difficult for them. They move into the middle somehow and try to just control those turn-in spots for a moment. But a lot of the time we're having one hero still staying behind. So as long as they don't lose a hero, they're going to be fine here. Just need for the waves to come in. We actually getting really low and just barely surviving. Gadam Head was also kind of low in hit points. It's a little bit of a faster level 4 on the side of Roccat, and we are seeing an arrow build being played with now the Boundless Conviction also in play. So right now there's currently Vidum at the bot lane getting a bit of pressure by Chris with his Vala. And that's unfortunate for Nazeebo, so he needs to be very careful here, especially since Jaina is starting to rotate over. She wants to try and take Nazeebo out. Not quite sure if they saw that rotation already happening. Hazops! Uh-oh, perfect! This couldn't have been any better. Great kill. Cone of Cold, he was trying to sneak up. That didn't work in the slightest. Great kill here. Snow was attempting to get a few of those gems back. Got most of them, but that was of course a great start into the game. One of the things that we've seen recently is Virtus Pro play on this map with the Rhaegar and go straight into Bloodlust. I'm just mentioning it because I think that it's really interesting to see that a few players are starting to go back to Bloodlust now that Blizzard in the last patch reduced the cooldown of the heroic ability from 120 seconds down to 90. That helps of course a lot. I highly doubt that we're going to see Bloodlust in this game. We still have a very heavy focus on the healing build, going straight for Spirit Walker's Grace and then also for the Chain Reaction, which combos perfectly with the spell shield, with the Lightning Shield, which we could actually see in this case. We could see him go into the Lightning Shield talent on level 7 as well. Oh, but first of all we're seeing a lot of damage against Hazops, and Ui is even coming in from behind with a quick totem that he drops here. Snow is rather low, but he can jump away. And Sport Billy and Zocca are still trying to go for Rhaegar. And Rhaegar is low, and Rhaegar is down. And those gems are probably lost to them. Great kills on the side of... Actually, the gems looks like they're going to get them after all. But yeah, good kills on the side of Roccat, and they can now turn maybe in themselves. They already have 50 gems that they still control, but there's the level 7 for them now too. I was talking about Bloodlust a bit earlier, and I don't think that we're going to see it in this case, because there are very few heroes that can really capitalize on the improved attack speed. But in general, it's still something that you guys should keep in mind when we're talking Rhaegar these days, because it is definitely a setup that is coming back into the game, and Virtus Pro already showcased that, so it was pretty awesome to see that. But for now, we're having also now Underking taken with the increased range and burrow, with a burrow charge. It's pretty cool to actually have that talent taken here. One of the things that I love in particular is if Nubarak also really commits to the level 16 talent for it and has the increased knock-up range. For now though, we are having still a lot of pressure on Kinguin. They have to move away again over here. The level 7 talents with the battle momentum on Tyrael. We have, well, for both of the players, actually Cleanse taken, Bed of Barbs on level 7, and also here the Fission Bomb for Kel'Thas. So when we're coming to the builds, it's mostly the normal talents that you see in this case. Arcane Intellect again taken on Jaina, not going into a snowstorm here. Frostbitten on level 7, and now the team's just fighting for the turn-ins. The first turn-in is most likely going to end up in the hands of Team Roccat. They're doing a great job thus far, but we're also having 70 gems controlled by Kinguin. Chris just barely cancelled with an attempt to turn in. Oh, Invidum down here. Oh, super low, but Chris is shooting another arrow and this one doesn't hit. Jaina is dying, so great job by Kinguin getting that kill in, and they're trying to make that too, moving up against Zocca, but he is shielding himself, and now it's time for Gert to turn in. There's 7 gems that are missing for Roccat, but Kinguin is also starting to do much better with this. Oh, and as I said, it's a kill against Kel'Thas. Great play, dropping him, and the red web weavers are actually descending first since Snow turned it up at the top. So even with the blue team controlling most of those turning points, basically all of them, for the entire duration of the game, in the last second there's a sneaky turn-in by Muradin, just moving up to the top turn-in spot and getting those gems turned away, and this allows now the red team to get their web weavers in first. But the pressure against the top lane is still pretty significant since the tower is dead, or the first one, and the second one's probably going to be taken out very soon as well. Chris is holding the fort, quite literally, down to the bot lane now against 3 heroes and the web weaver, but the rotation is going to help him out very soon since the mid lane is already about to be taken out. 2 heroes, by the way, moving out, or at least one. Zocke with the one to move up at the top and keeping that web weaver a bit back and also pushing some damage onto that tower. Level 10s are going to hit any second now on the side of team. Yep, there they are to the left. We have the level 10s hitting now for Roccat, and there's a strafe. Zocke barely surviving here. Strafe, Divine Shield, Blessed Shield, Water Elemental, and also Judgment have now been picked. And of course the last web weaver wave here is going to be taken out by not only the Blizzard but also Shadowman are moving in on the Zuther. So very good defense on the side of Roccat. They didn't really lose anything here. They didn't lose any important structures. The only lane that was really attacked structure-wise is the one down at the bottom where they lost the tower and the gate, and that's already it. But now they should be able to get their own turn in. They have a lot of gems, or at least they have 83 are still there, and Chris is now attempting to turn in. Level 10s aren't ready yet on the side of Team Kinguin, and that's why they shouldn't be a problem whatsoever for Chris to get rid of those. And there they are. Web Weaver wave is descending for the blue team. Keep in mind that they have enough gems to get another Web Weaver wave right after this one. Level 10s now for both of them, and that puts in this case Phoenix, Gargantuan, Ancestral Healing, Cocoon, and also the Avatar into the hands of Kinguin. So it's still level 10 versus level 10. Well, slightly now with level 11, but it doesn't really matter too much since it's more about the talents than anything else. And talking talents, here's already the big fight. Johanna is not with them. It's a 5 versus 4 with a defense here. Johanna is starting to rotate. Zocke is moving back to the top though, and it looks very much like they're just trying to ignore the attack at the bot lane, and instead they are focusing on pressuring the top with Sport Billy and move into the mid lane with the rest of the team. There's already Zocke with the first smite. They're starting to join up with Johanna, and I guess they're gonna attempt to burst down that fort as fast as they can, while Kinguin is busy in the mid lane defending against the Web Weaver, but the Web Weaver is already down. The fort is about to be dropped, but it's only at half health, and now the fight is about to start with Condemn used. Here comes the Phoenix. They're going in with the Blizzard. Already the kill against the Nuburak. Great play here, and Strafe in the back line. They put pressure on Invidum. He had to be healed. Judgment. Well, I'm not quite sure if that was the best Judgment that Zocke used in his playing career. That didn't really do anything at all, but they got the kill against the Nuburak, and that was the more important part. And also they were able to take down the top fort, with the Web Weaver even moving in a bit further to take now a bit of pressure against those. They can turn in again, as I already said before. They actually have 97 gems now, closing in on 100, and it looks like at least 2 of the heroes are attempting to take the Siege Giants at the bot lane. That would be a nice distraction for them to turn in again. Sport Billy needs to be super careful with this one. They can't lose these gems. That's a lot of gems. They need to get those Siege Giants first, and then they can go to the turn-in spot. We shouldn't really try to do too much at the same time. Greed is going to be punished here. It's a 5 versus 5 still. If they just wait out for a bit longer, they will have level 13 though. And that's going to be a whole different ball game. Their Divine Shield already used to keep Jaina alive. And again it is a Nuburak getting stunned and taking out too much damage. Strafe was used in this case as well. The Blessed Shield locking him down. They go for Invidium, but this time they don't have enough damage to lock him down. The Water Elemental slowed him, but they didn't have the burst damage to follow it up with. But they still are now in position of level 13, and that puts an imposing will into their hands. We're having them now with Burning Rage, Giant Killer, and the Shrink Ray. Giant Killer against the double tank line is of course going to be super important here on the side of Vala, but with level 13 versus level 12 and another Web Weaver wave coming in, they're in an amazing position. They also have still 57 gems. They still have 57. That means only 3 more gems, which they will easily pick up with just a single wave. They can go for another turn-in after this one. The next turn-in is going to cost them 60 gems, and that's exactly what they have, or what they will have if they don't lose a hero here. So they have an opportunity of getting another Web Weaver wave, which is in itself kind of insane. Oh. An attempt to really lock them down here. Force the fight with a 3-level E. Judgment used, and well, Nubarak just moves away. He just uses his burrow charge, gets away here. The bot lane is of course going to be dropped. That fort is not going to survive. Up here at the top, they're waiting for another wave to move in and already put the pressure in with the blizzard, with the potential condemn. Now the gravity lapse is not hitting anything. Muradin, by the way, up at the top lane is still defending against this one. So yeah, Kinguin is busy. They are very busy defending here, and they are far away from level 13. They're going to need to take down this entire wave before that happens. And now they can just move back again. Roccat, that is. Actually, Lavon has to wait. Well, if he gets stunned there, he's down. So that was a smart move with the burrow charge, because if he waits for another second or two, he's going to be stunned out by one of these guys. They put some pressure onto Uther, but I don't think they have what it takes to burst him down, especially with the Divine Shield still being in play. The wall has been destroyed, and now they can move back again. They have 65 gems, and they only need 60. Waves everywhere just starting to push in, but now Chris is turning in again, so is Shadowmar. Hanzops is trying to follow with us too, and of course Kinguin, they have to do something now. They don't even have the talent yet, but if they don't turn in, if they don't contest the turn-in, then what are they going to do? Sport Billy is not completing the turn-in yet. Now there's the 13 versus 13 in terms of talent, so that's the time when Kinguin might be able to make a move. And if Kinguin turns in, then they could potentially start to turn this around, but they have to do something. And with Eldruin's Might, Soccer has an easy escape tool that he's already using. Level 16 isn't ready yet for Roccat. They would of course like to wait for this one, but they're not going to allow Kinguin to turn in. They're going to wait a bit longer. The Fission Bomb is ready together with the Chain Bomb now, so the synergy between the two talents on 7 and 13 is going to help get Amher to put his extra damage in, and it's exactly what he's currently trying to do here. Moving in already with Healing Surge, helping everybody out on the side of Kinguin to get healed up again. Invidum about to turn in, but nope, had to cancel. There was already Hazops in position. Gary is zoning them out though. Nice shield glare. 16 isn't there yet, and only one more gem. One more gem for Kinguin. That's all that they need right now. And they're trying to turn that in. It's 4 more gems for the opponent's team, and it looks like, yeah, Sport Billy turns them in. Sport Billy gets the turning completed, and now Lavon. Oh, condemned, judgmented. Here comes the Phoenix. Immediately the ancestral healing. Ui, with a great heal. The 16s aren't there yet, but it will be soon. Sport Billy is moving away again, and that condemn should bring the 16 home. It doesn't quite. There it is. They have the talent. Invidum is extremely low. Uses stasis, uses the ice block, but he is dead. Gerd is about to drop. The strafe nearly killing him, but it was not enough. A double blood for blood now in the hands of Team Roccat. They have Benediction. They also have Blessed Hammer and Northern Exposure. It was the opportunity for Kinguin to turn the game around and maybe get a turn in. Make sure that they close the gap in experience, but at this point they are now 3 levels behind and extra talent, and this allows Roccat to push in mercilessly into the mid lane. They're going for the keep now. They have still Web Weavers pushing at the bot lane. This one is already attacking the keep. Up to the top, you can already see Web Weaver number 3 moving straight in for the keep as well. The burst damage against the Nubarak takes him out. And this is Roccat doing what they can to get a massive lead in the game and really get this advantage that they need to finish it off. The bot lane defended by Muradin. Muradin doing whatever he can here. Snow using Thunderclap, Storm Bolts, but the keep is on half HP. Gary's being taken out. The top lane still being pressured. The wall already extinguished. We have 17 versus 14, a 3-level lead, and the well is dropped. Great place here on the side of Roccat. They have 22 gems, and they actually took quite a few gems away from their opponent as well. Now they're rotating again. Snow, yeah. He's gonna get away with his jump, with his escape. Okay, he can always go for the Dwarf Toss. But they steal the camps away. They could have even gone for boss here, I suppose. In this case, I wouldn't have been surprised if they decided to go for the boss instead. I mean, this thing is labeled the throw pit for a reason. But if you're 3 levels ahead and you have an extra talent over your opponent, then it's a pretty safe bet that you are going to be able to take that. They start with the Bruiser camp, though. The Red Web Weavers are descending now that we finally have a turn-in for Team Kinguin. And, well, the problem is they won't do a whole lot more than just deep push the lanes, because all of these lanes are pushed hard. They're pushed so far in that I don't think Roccat is going to be afraid of those at all. Chris, Shadowmar, everybody already rotating around. They can just move up to the top lane, take this one down first if they want to. They're even setting up a bit of a trap. They're just waiting for somebody to move up here. Soccer is the one who's going to try and bait them out, I suppose. He's going to jump away with Eldruin's Might, and now they're turning around with another level 16 versus level 13 talent fight. Blessed Shield used! They go straight for Nubarak. He already used his escape mechanism, and they're trying to turn around to drop Snow. The Cocoon has been used to lock down Chris, so a lot of the damage was missing in the last fight, in the last engage. Sport Billy, yeah, well, he uses another shield glare before they escape, but in this case it was actually Kinguin with a very nice defense, not dropping anybody, and they are starting to close in experience. They're getting a bit closer here, trying to head straight for level 16. Shadowma eating another living bomb there, and down to the bot lane. They defend against one of the Web Weavers. The one up at the top has already been eliminated, but the wraparound is still happening. We're still seeing Kinguin starting to push this in, and Kinguin is closing in on 16. They try to drop the first fort in the game for them, and once that they get the 16, then they're gonna be in a pretty solid position to take a team fight. They are still 2 levels behind, so that's gonna be an issue, but they have the chance to maybe go for a wipe here with Gat using the chain bombs, and he does, moving them in once, twice. He needs to use his shield, and he does. The tidal wave needs to keep them alive somehow, but no, the burst damage against Khaldor is just a little bit too much. Snow gets an ancestral healing, God knows why. He already had Stoneform activated in the back line. One Cocoon, and in this case it's again Shadowma the healer, but he comes back in time to keep the rest of the team alive. Hazobs with an attempted flank, but he gets stunned by Snow. Prediction Stormbolt into the cloud, making that work, and the problem still remaining that Khaldor is down, and he is the biggest threat to Roccat at this point. And Roccat is just saying, like, we don't care anymore. We have everything that we need right now to take down the first keep. They move in, claim it, and they could even turn around and try to drop one of these heroes if Kinguin overextends a bit, which in this case they don't really. 50 gems are available to Roccat that they could use, but there's also a few camps on the map, and they are deciding to go straight to the bot lane to go for the Siege Giants. So yeah, we have the Siege Giants already taken. It looks like Kinguin was actually expecting them to go for the boss, which they didn't do. But now they have the Siege Giants pushing the bot lane. They start to turn in, or at least they could if they wanted to. Up here, Spot Billy is just double checking what's happening, because he's not quite sure if maybe Kinguin goes for a YOLO move and starts to go for boss, but they don't. They're moving in against Khaldor. They want to take Khaldor. They go straight for him. Khaldor gets bursted before the Ancestral goes through. The Siege Giant still pushing the bot lane, and in the meantime up here there is carnage happening. Invidum is getting dropped. Levon jumps away. Chris is following it up with even more damage. It's a triple kill. Snow gets healed with the Ancestral. Ui is trying to escape. He has 44 of the gems, but he is going to make that escape. Snow also rushing away from the team. Well, he gets dropped off his mount, but the keep is down, and it looks like they're going to go for core. They have 5 heroes alive. They want to go straight into the round of 8, and it looks like they make it happen. They take the core down. It's a 5 versus 2 in this case, and there is the GG by Invidum. Great play by Roccat. Very solid performance here today. They advance together with Na'Vi to the round of 8 at the Enter the Storm tournament. Congratulations, really well played. A 2-0 victory over Team Kinguin. Great play by Roccat. They take it with a 2-0. They advance to the round of 8. They don't really leave Kinguin a chance here. It's a 2-0 victory for Roccat, and a dominant one at that. Very well played by them, and now they advance together with Na'Vi to the next round of the tournament. So congratulations to Roccat. Unfortunately for Kinguin, it didn't really work out today, but I'm sure we're going to see the guys around again. Of course, guys, if you really like the series, if you like the commentary, then make sure that you give the video a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to Khaldor TV. And yeah, that's it for the day. We have more Into the Storm coming up very soon, also a little bit more road to BlizzCon. In this case now we are starting into Group C and Group D for Enter the Storm, so we have 2 more groups left before we are then entering the final weekend, where we have 3 days full of Enter the Storm action with Heroes of the Storm all day long. We're gonna have a really sick setup. At this point, Na'Vi, Roccat, Na'Vi, Roccat, Team Liquid and Alternate Fantasy are already qualified, and in the upcoming groups we have teams like Fnatic, for example. Gamers2 is playing there, Virtus Pro. So we have some very nice teams that haven't qualified just yet, but that we could definitely see in the round of 8. I'm going to see you then, guys. Have a great week. Enjoy your day, and see you guys soon.